But that's further down the line. We're too early on. There's too many other organizations that's doing amazing things that should get these first. And then she goes, well, what if I tell you I want to nominate you? And I said, thank you, but no thank you. Like, we're too early. And then she basically talks me into it. 2 days later, I get this email of like, here's everything. You need to fill it out. And it basically felt like college, like overnight or during finals, right? So I'm like frantically filling it out and submitted it. And then, a few days later, it was like, congratulations. I was like, wow, I am not worthy.
It's amazing like how many people get opportunities like that, but they don't take it right because like they think that you're early or whatever. Like how many people like give an opportunity like, no, I'm not early, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. So what is ethical, sustainable operations?
Yeah, I mean, it's very keyword and buzzy for sure. For me and for Reduce, it's really making sure that you are being thoughtful and responsible about how you address the end of life of whatever you consume, and for us, it's jewelry.
So what do you tell someone, suppose someone's out there like, all this climate stuff is hokey pokey, fake news, it's not for real. What do you tell these people?
Go do some research. I am not here to tell you whether it's real or not real. I think it's actually non-debatable at this point, but if you still want to debate it, I would say go do some research on anything you're consuming, like whether it's your clothing, whether it's the food you're consuming, whether it's the water that you're using to brush your teeth with, like do some research.
And it's not, going on Facebook and, clicking what your friends are saying, right?
No, not that kind of, like, valid, academic, from scholars, maybe.
So, what is the core sustainability mission of your company?
We have a few, but I really built the company under the circularity model, so circular economy. And really the three main tenets in the circular economy model is, one is to design or build something with the idea that it's gonna extend its life the longest it possibly can live, right? The second tenet is to make sure that you're diverting it from landfilling. And the third really is to return it back into nature, or as close to natural state as it possibly can be. So jewelry is important when you think about it through the circular economy model, is because jewelry mostly composes of precious metals, and precious metals like gold and silver are natural and finite resources, meaning once it's gone, it's gone. And these are things that go through everything we use, especially anything that has an on-off button or that's in technology. I mean, it's in the computer that you're using. There is in this microphone that has wires in it. It was even in our COVID tests. Gold had COVID. There was COVID tests had gold in it. So these are very important things, and they're scarce, and we're literally running out of it because of overconsumption and overmining.
So how do you balance like you being like a environmental person trying to save the earth versus running a company? Because sometimes they don't balance out together.
Look, you can't be perfect. I am in the camp of like, just start somewhere. Like, you don't have to be 100%. I think that if everybody collectively did 10% towards, finding a solution for climate crisis, we would all be better for it, rather than a few that aims for 110%.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to like recycle, but sometimes they make it hard, right? Like something like where I live in DuPont, for a while recycle glass, then like that, no more recycled glass. There's always like changing stuff. Got to do this, do that. A lot of teams, I think they make it too hard to do.
I agree. I think there's a lot of like misinformation, lack of access, policies when it comes to recycling. Like, we just don't make it easy, and that's really what we want to do. Is we just want to make it easy and
Yeah, I don't know how true this is, or you always hear like, like you recycle stuff, but then there's like these big barges in the middle of the ocean, 1,000 pounds of plastic. Like, so what, what's the point of me recycling this? It's randomly in the ocean somewhere, falling into the ocean, right? Like, if
Yes.
that's true, I have no idea, I might be making that up.
Uh, well, there are large barges of recycling materials coming from here to our global south to just deal with.
And what kind of KPIs are you tracking?
So right now it's really from feedstock collection, it's pounds of how much jewelry we're collecting and how much of that what percent of it we're diverting from landfills through those different channels, whether it's being reused or recycled.
Is there a certain type of jewelry that's easier or harder to recycle, or they're all pretty much the same?
Uh, no, I don't know that any of them is easier. Fashion jewelry, for example, is much it's more challenging because there's no value. Like you can't like melt it. There's no value in plastics, right? A lot of fashion jewelry has plastics in it, mixed materials, and that's harder to find value. But what we do is we partner with local nonprofits and we give it to them where they can give it to their members or resell it to fund their nonprofits.
So talk to the process of how this works. Do you have like someone brings you like 1,000 pounds of jewelry and you melt it in some kind of factory fire and like resell it or something? Or like,
Yeah,
how's that work?
it's a good question. So I'll talk through kind of from a customer perspective. So you, Jason, you've learned about Reduce and you're like, oh yeah, I have this like Ziploc bag of jewelry that's just been sitting around in my drawer. I don't know what to do with it. But now that I learned about Reduce, I can address it. So there is, you can order a mail kit on our online where it's free. You basically receive the mail kit, you put in this jewelry that you didn't know what to do with before, and then we recycle it for you. So once we receive it, we go through the whole process through the circular economy lens and make sure that everything we have is extended in terms of life. So if it's fashion jewelry, we put it in we're gonna share it and donate it to our local nonprofits where it can be reused in some type of way. And then if it's precious, if it's fine jewelry that has precious metals, we will recycle it and put it back into circularity to be raw materials. So essentially that's where we feel like we're the urban mine, right? Like instead of you getting raw gold from the mines, we are now able to provide that for you to manufacture what we hope is to be clean technology.
So you mentioned the term circular economy a few times. What is that? Is that some kind of closed loop economy, or what is the circular economy?
Yeah, so it's actually a whole movement. There's a few circular economy events during PNW Week, actually. If people want to learn about it some more, but it's something that was really established by Ellen MacArthur, and she was the one that really established, what this whole idea is of balancing people, profit, and planet, and making sure all of that is in symbiosis.
So what's been the hardest part for you so far building your company? Everything, right?
Everything. I would say time. I'm calling where we are right now kind of like a success disaster. Only because I am overwhelmed by the amount of success and interest from the community and the customers and the industry, but we're trying to catch up with the demand that we're receiving. So.
And who's like, you mentioned nonprofit, who's like your like quote unquote perfect customer?
Perfect customer is literally anybody who owns a piece of jewelry that they do not know what to do with it. So basically it's someone that's like, hey, I lost this like pair of earring match. I don't know what to do with the singleton, or like a broken chain. I don't know what to do with that. And the current alternatives right now or current channels to address it just doesn't make sense for them or inconvenient or whatever the reasons are. But what we're providing for them is really a way to address the end of life of their like pre-loved jewelry in a responsible way.
And what are some assumptions you had when you first started that you like were totally wrong?
That it's just females, not to genderize things. But yeah, there's a good group of men that actually wear jewelry, but for me, it's really more a generational type of male. So, for example, I got a letter from a customer, and it was a son that is basically clearing out, or that he inherited a bunch of jewelry from his mother that has passed, and he didn't know what to do with it, but he wanted to really like honor her legacy and be really thoughtful about her belongings. And once he learned about Reduce, he was most likely to choose us versus just like donating it or recycling it to the current models right now.
And you bootstrapping everything right now?
Everything is bootstrapped.
Is a plan of fundraising in the future? You're gonna try to bootstrap the whole way?
Well, as a founder, I'm told we should always say that we're always raising.
Yeah, I know, right? Another false thing they tell us.
I go back and forth on that. We are a for-profit for a reason, right? And to get to a scale that I would love us to get to and to get the impact of why I even really started the company, I think at some point we're going to need some capital. Where it comes from, I don't know that we're going to go directly to VCs. I think the first line of defense for us, if we need to raise, it would be angels and family offices. So anybody out there, however.
So what's something about sustainability that you think people are getting wrong, like a myth out there that's totally false?
Oh, there's many. I think sustainability is such a big, hairy word. But one thing that people get wrong is that that it's black or white.